Welcome to episode 8.34 of the Grumpy Brothers podcast. I am Chris Ludvigsen, joined by Ted. Say hey, Ted.
Hey, Ted.
Thank you to our listeners. Please subscribe and listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Odyssey. Also, please follow us here on millions.co. Ted, do you need to get that cough out a little bit more? Sounds like you still a little something in there.
Nah, I'm all right. We'll tough it out.
There you go. Play injured.
I'm just so upset. I'm just keep looking at my my jury summons thing. So
Is that this week?
Oh no, it's not until October.
Oh, okay. You got plenty of time to wriggle.
Yeah, I have plenty of time to try and wriggle out of it.
Today, we're going to continue our NFL season preview part 3 with the AFC and NFC North divisions. Before we get to that, Ted, what's making you grumpy today?
You ever heard
besides your jury summons?
Yeah, the jury thing it's not that big a deal. You ever heard of something? You hear something in the news that's so bizarre. This doesn't really make me mad. It's just there have been minimum of three in the last month or so, rabid beaver attacks in parks in Frederick County in Maryland. I never heard of beavers getting rabies before, but I got to imagine if a beaver bites you on the leg, that's kind of smart.
Well, considering they can chop through wood.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's kind of smart. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess they've got to, there's the clamping strength of an alligator or crocodile,
yeah,
and then the snapping turtle. Ted, we need to get a numerical
gauge,
value. Yes,
gauge,
on the clamping strength.
Yeah, we'll work on that. Yeah. No, the thing that actually kind of annoyed me is I was driving my wife's car earlier in the week, and it doesn't have satellite radio, so I was listening to DC 101.
Oh gosh, and there's a flash from the past.
God, and there you go. And they were on weekdays. They do a 90s at noon segment. People call in, wanting songs from the 90s. Yeah. And the woman that's a DJ will play back from time to time the actual call, the person makes. Yeah. So this guy comes on and says, "I'd like to hear some Sugar Ray."
Okay.
And then he says the phrase that should get him banned from requesting songs forever. He says he's the GOAT. Now, I got nothing against this guy. I know who.
What was that guy's name? What was his name?
It was McGrath or something. I don't.
Yes.
I have nothing against what. It's not my thing. His particular song wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
But I don't have anything against it. But come on.
Yeah.
The GOAT of what? The elementary school he went to? What are we talking about here? You're going to have to quantify that hard. Because when you make I'm sure he doesn't even think he's the GOAT.
That would be Ted. That would be Mark McGrath. Very good. You remembered him.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, but as far as I know, they had like one, maybe two.
What was that big song that they had?
I don't know. But it wasn't my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if she played it or not, because I got to where I was needing to get to, and but I just it's kind of like when you hear somebody say
they're the GOAT.
You're gonna have to be, I don't know. It's a phrase that probably gets thrown around a little too much, but yeah.
Ted, October 23rd, Greensboro, Georgia.
There he is.
Sugar Ray.
There you go.
They are.
What's the tickets? What's the ticket cost?
Let's see.
$37.50.
Let's see here. Can't get to the ticket price.
Oh, yeah. Be careful, because you might end up buying it.
You might end up buying it. Executive producer, we're going to Greensboro, Georgia this weekend. Why?
Whether you want to or not.
Yeah, exactly.
To hear the
Exactly.
goat. To hear the
Yeah,
goat.
exactly. Get to hear the goat, Mark McGrath. I'm trying. What? Oh, okay. Fly, Every Morning, and Someday, Ted, were their three big songs.
Okay.
There you go.
Whatever.
Yeah, their big album was Sugar Ray. Um, let's see. I'm trying to see what year that album came out. But anyway, yeah. I'm kind of like with you. I have nothing against Sugar Ray, but
I,
far, 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 far from the goat.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, again, you're gonna have to tell me what he's the goat of, before you
McGrath's, maybe.
yeah, whatever. It just seems like that was a step too far.
Yes, yes, a bridge too far.
Yeah.
So, Ted, when you were down here in Richmond a couple weeks ago, and we were out celebrating our
Yeah.
dear mother's birthday,
Yeah.
you may have noticed that when I walked into the restaurant for dinner, it was, I don't know, it was your normal Richmond day, 90 degrees out, whatever that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I walked into the restaurant carrying a 3/4 zip.
Yeah, I
I was
don't remember. Yeah.
okay. So that makes me feel somewhat better, Ted, because in another example of how I have become an old man,
Yeah.
I have now become the guy who, in the summertime,
Yeah.
goes
Yeah.
everywhere
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
you're going inside with a 3/4 zip in case it's too cold.
No question about it. I'm in the same boat. Yeah. I mean,
Now, Ted, I have a very nice Vineyard Vine 3/4 zip. I think it fits pretty well. It makes me feel somewhat cool that it's
yeah.
a 3/4 zip. But Ted, let's be realistic. It's one step away from carrying around a
A
Mr.
cardigan.
Rogers cardigan.
Yeah. Well,
And say, welcome to my neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, I do it. I'll wear long sleeve shirts and then I'll just pull them up if it's not so cold. Or I have I have been known to bring like a pullover or something in, and
Yeah.
my arms get cold.
Yeah.
Exposed skin, the air conditioning gets cold. Sorry.
It's the
At the
thinning.
house, people see me. I go out to get the mail. I got long pants and a long sleeve shirt, a thin long sleeve shirt on because the air conditioning gets too cold.
Yeah. Ted, you got the thinning blood.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what it is, man. It's just it's awful.
Not good.
No, I mean, I get mad. I see people who are wandering around in shorts and t-shirts and in the air conditioning, and I'm like, yeah, that's you got to be kidding
Well,
me. You got
and on the
freezing.
flip side of that, every time I drive anywhere around the Richmond area in the school year, once it gets cool to cold, it always
Yeah,
amazes me like how many 6 and 7, 8-year-old boys are out there wearing t-shirts and shorts when it's like 40 degrees outside.
yeah. They get on the bus and it's warm, and then they're in the school and it's warm, and they just can't be bothered to carry a coat.
That thick, strong blood, Ted. Where did it go?
Wow.
Ted, and like I said,
It went out the top of our head.
And with that, here we go. You ready? Here we go.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, Ted. One of the teams we will be discussing in the AFC North are
yeah,
the Baltimore Ravens, Ted. They're in your
yep,
DMV.
yep,
And historically, the Ravens, particularly under John Harbaugh, were known as a physical run the ball team.
right.
The big man, Derrick Henry, has had two very, very good first seasons with the Ravens, and he is now fourth in the all-time franchise rushing list with 3,516 yards. Ted, who has the most rushing yards and rushing touchdowns in Ravens franchise history?
Same guy or different guys?
Same guy has both.
Mm, uh, did he play that long? The first name that popped up to me. Yeah, we're not talking about when they were the original Browns.
No, because if you remember, Ted, when the Ravens moved to from Cleveland to Baltimore,
Right.
there was very quickly a thing where Cleveland kept the Browns name in all of the records. So yeah, this is not Jim Brown.
Yeah. The name that immediately came to was Jamal Lewis.
Oh. Excellent, Ted. Excellent. Yes. Jamal Lewis. And if I remember correctly, Ted, he played for Tennessee in college.
That could be. Yeah, I don't
is
know.
my recollection. Ted, he played 91 games in 7 seasons. To your point, not that long.
No, right.
But, running backs don't last long. So 7 seasons from 2000 to 2006, he had 7,801 yards and 45 touchdowns.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, Lamar Jackson is number 2 on the rush list with 6,522.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Ray Rice is 3rd with 6,180. Henry is 4th, and then current running mate Gus Edwards is 5th with 3,395. In touchdowns, Rice is 2nd with 37. Jackson is 3rd with 35. Henry is 4th with 32. And then Willis McGahee is in 5th in touchdowns, and he's 6th in rush yards. So there you go. Excellent job, Ted.
Hey, by the way, speaking of Derrick Henry, I saw a thing the other day, and I tried to verify it as best I could. I think it's right. Derrick Henry leads the NFL in rushing for the last 10 years, right?
Okay, sure. That makes sense.
Do you know who's I guarantee you're not going to know who second is. Do you know
in that 10-year period?
In that 10-year period, and third and fourth. Third and fourth, I'll give you third and fourth. Ezekiel Elliott is third, and Saquon Barkley's fourth.
Second in the list. My first thought is Christian McCaffrey.
Nope.
But he's had a few lost seasons with injuries. Is it McCaffrey?
Nope.
Someone that would have played a lot of Jonathan Taylor.
Nope.
How about the guy for the Rams? What's his name? What's his first?
Doesn't matter. Nope.
Okay, I'll take the. Hold on.
You're going to give your now. Don't give yourself, because this is so bizarre. Derrick Henry is second as well because he has more yards, and it's yards after contact.
Oh, wow.
He has more yards after contact in the last 10 years than anybody else has that would be, second or third. That's insane, and you I looked at it and I didn't know they kept track of this, but they do now.
Yeah.
And, so he has more yards after contact in the last 10 years than anybody else has in rushing.
How quickly we forget Zeke and how those 4 or 5 years at the beginning of his career, and then he did that holdout. Jerry caved, gave him the big money, and it was all downhill after that. I don't even think he's in the league anymore.
No, did the
Cowboys had a season or two with the Patriots?
Yeah, didn't the Cowboys bring him back last year?
Did the Cowboys bring him back? Maybe.
So I thought they did, and then they ended up cutting him because it just he's just done.
Yeah, the halter top and the abs. Ted, for years now, I think a lot of people would have told you if you had asked them what was the best division in football, I think a lot of teams would have said throughout the last 5 years or so would be the AFC North.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Ted,
I think both of the Norths have been really good.
Okay, but here's the fascinating thing, Ted. When I looked at it, it shocked me. The only team last year in the AFC North with a winning division was the Pittsburgh Steelers with a winning record, 10-7, and the only team that made the playoffs. So for all of that supposed really good play, last year was not that. And the Steelers were one of those, I love my stats. They're one of the most interesting statistical teams I've seen. Offensively, Ted, 25th in yards, 26th in rush, 22nd in passing. Defensively, 26th in total yards, 13 against the rush, 29th against the pass. So nothing great on either side of the ball, but they were 15th in scoring and 17th in points allowed. And last week, one of the things I threw in there, Ted, was how important are turnovers and penalties.
Yeah.
Ted, last year, the Steelers were 4th in turnover differential and 11th in fewest penalty yards. So they weren't a necessarily good or great team on either side of the ball, but they made the playoffs because they didn't turn it over and they don't commit a lot of penalties.
They didn't beat themselves, right? Yeah.
Now, they make the huge move in letting go Mike Tomlin. He'd been there 19 seasons, Ted, 63% winning percentage, never had a losing season, won a Super Bowl. All that sounds great. But in the last 5 seasons, they were 48, 36, and 1, a 56% winning percentage, 4-4 in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. And, since once Roethlisberger retired, the offense just ground to a halt, because they could never seem to get an offensive coordinator. They could never seem to figure out quarterback. There was, after McCarthy was hired, there was, some things that popped up online where all of a sudden he was doing things offensively just in drills
Yeah.
that the Steelers had stopped doing, for like the last 5 years. So, it sounds like they needed some new blood in the system,
Yeah. And Ted, what I have written down here is, and I think we talked about this once before, and I forgot to pull these up because it's fascinating. John Harbaugh was considered a home run hire for the Giants, and Mike McCarthy was considered sort of an also-ran by the Steelers. But if you look at their 2 career coaching records, they're almost identical in terms of win percentage, number of times to the playoffs, and they've each won a Super Bowl. I don't know if Mike McCarthy is a improvement or it's going to be a step back from a coaching standpoint, but it will definitively be a change in focus in the Pittsburgh Steelers organization.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
Right out of the gate, maybe because of McCarthy, in the first round, they draft an offensive tackle in the first round, and they draft a wide receiver from Alabama, Jeremy Bernard, in the second round. Then they sign Michael Pittman from the Colts as a free agent. Aaron Rodgers has weapons to throw the ball to now. Between the rookie Bernard, Pittman, DK Metcalf, I love the tight end Freiermuth.
Yeah.
He's got weapons.
Yeah, they did. And the other thing is they didn't really, at least on paper, have to do anything with personnel on defense. They have the players. They've spent a lot of money on that side of the ball. Now, was it a bad system? Did they just have bad? Yeah, who knows? We'll find out. It's a new defensive coordinator. Is he going to do something a little different? Is he going to, maybe put TJ Watt in some other play? Whatever it is, it's going to happen. But that side of the ball, to me, has to perform. Has to, because they're paying it the most money.
Yes.
And it's the Steelers.
And Ted, let's take a step back. You say it's the Steelers. So when you say it's the Steelers, that says to you defense, right?
Well, it says that when you play Pittsburgh, you're going to feel it the next week. That's what it says to me.
Well, and the other thing about when you say it's the Steelers, what that says to me also is, for a lot, if you were the Oakland Raiders or the Arizona Cardinals or the Cleveland Browns, and you had said in the last 5 years, your coach had a 56% winning percentage and won 4 games in the playoffs, you'd be giving him a raise.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But in Pittsburgh, it's about winning Super Bowls.
Yeah, it is now. Yeah. It's been since they've started winning them. Yeah. For the last 50 years. Yeah.
Right. So that 56% winning percentage and 4-4 in the playoffs and not even sniffing a conference championship game in the last however many years simply isn't good enough.
No,
Mike Tomlin could have probably gotten a job as soon as he wants. I think he's going into TV instead. I'm sure he's going to take a year or 2 off and rest and relax, make a lot of money. And I'm sure he's going to be a head coach again soon. But yeah, here's my question to you though, Ted. How much confidence do you have in 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
I forgot to find out how old TJ Watt is. He's getting up there.
He was banged up some too last year too. Yeah.
I mean, how much confidence do you have in this team?
And playing a first place schedule, right?
And playing a first place schedule.
Maybe that's why they drafted an offensive tackle right out of the gate and try and keep Aaron upright. I think a lot of it has to do. Are they going to be able to look the numbers you cited at the beginning tell you that they didn't play very well last year. Mm-hmm. The eyeball test would tell you they didn't play very well.
Right. When you watched them, when you watched, there was one game they played late in the season where I think it might have been against the Dolphins, But anyway, there was one game late in the season where Aaron threw it around a little bit and you thought, oh, okay, there's something there.
Yeah.
But every other time I watched the Steelers, I went, okay.
Yeah.
Aaron's kind of dink and dunk. Not great on either side of the ball.
And the defense is giving up way too much, given the personnel that they have and
the money they've spent.
That they believe that these guys are the right guys. So, I mean, I think they have a difficult road because Aaron is 42 years old. The plus is, to me, is if the defensive side of the ball is as good as they think it is, they could get it back together and be a dominant, top 5 defense, and they don't have to score 35 points every game.
Yeah, Ted, TJ Watt's going to be 32 for much of this season. So, the window is very tight. Excuse me. Not a big Super Bowl window here.
No. I mean,
and maybe that's why they signed McCarthy.
But they give him 3 years?
I can't remember how many years they gave him, but
it's to win now. It's to win now.
If they had gone off and signed a hot coordinator.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a whole different thing. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So no, they're trying to win now this year because they don't know. I mean, I think Rodgers keeps thinking, or
Rodgers has said this is going to be it.
But you never know with him. Yeah. You never know. But yeah, I mean, if you take him at his word that this is it, then for him, then yeah, because otherwise, then after going forward, you either have to go find an experienced quarterback, or you're starting over at a position. Yeah, you're going to have a rookie contract, but now you've got a guy that's going to have to learn how to. Yeah, it's tough. It's going to be tough.
Ted, if the Steelers' statistics were disappointing, the Ravens were their equal in that regard, and then they lost to the Steelers in the final regular season game to miss the playoffs and finish 8-9. As we talked about, the big man Henry did his part last year. The Ravens had the second best run game in the NFL, but the 27th worst passing game, in part to Lamar missing another 4 games. But Ted, I can't remember who we talked about it last week. One of the quarterbacks. They were 6-7 in the games that Lamar played.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like they were 10-3 and then just fell apart without him.
Right. Yeah.
And Ted, like we talked about, the once proud Ravens defense, 24th in yards allowed, 31st against the pass.
Yeah.
They could not rush the passer. They only had 30 sacks as a team, and their leading pass rusher was someone named Travis Jones. 5 sacks. They trade for Max Crosby. They rescind that trade. Then they signed Trey Hendrickson. I really like their first 2 picks. The Penn State guard Ione was the best offensive lineman in the draft. They take him in 14. In a way, to me, that's a statement of saying we still run the ball. We're still a physical team. I love that. They let Tyler Linderbaum go, who was one of the best 2 or 3 centers in the league. The Raiders snap him up. So I'm a little concerned about that interior line play.
You're going to be a lot more concerned since the center tore his patella tendon in practice the other day.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
The new center.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
So now they're already to the backup center.
So, like the Steelers, they let their longtime head coach John Harbaugh go. 18 seasons, won over 61% of his games, made the playoffs 12 times, win a Super Bowl. They replace him with Jesse Minter, who was one of the best young coordinators in the game. He was a very good coordinator, defensive coordinator at Michigan, University of Michigan, and with the Chargers last year, with both times with Jim Harbaugh. I like the hire. I don't have anything against Jesse Minter, but some guys are great coordinators and some guys.
Right. Yeah.
So we don't know. Just because he's a great coordinator doesn't make him a great head coach.
That's right. And you have a new offensive system. New defense. Now, the defensive system, whatever the new one is, it can't be much worse than what they were doing, right? So, and this is again, they've spent some money on that side of the ball, and
I love Kyle Hamilton. I love Kyle Hamilton. I think he's one of the best. I think he's one of the top 10 defensive players in the league right now. They've got that Matabuke has been hurt in and out the last couple of years.
That was a big injury for them last year. Yeah, they couldn't stop the run after he went out.
Ted, to me, this team, whether this team comes back and makes the playoffs, comes down to one thing. Well, two things. Does the defense get back to at least competitive level?
Yeah.
And Lamar.
Yeah. He's got to play. He really can't miss maybe 1-2 games tops. The other part of that last year was that I mean, it's nothing against him, but Cooper Rush was a bad fit as a backup.
Yes. I never understood why you bring in someone who plays the exact opposite way of the starter. And then eventually they brought back Tyler Huntley, and the offense was at least functional when he was the starter. But last year, Ted, here are Lamar's stats last year. Let's see. Just under 64% completion ratio. Okay. 21 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Okay. 196 yards, 103.8. I mean, all of that sounds good. What I noticed last year, Ted, was I don't know if he was nursing injuries the whole year, but every time he tried to take off and make a big play, that didn't seem, he was still fast, but he wasn't wasn't Lamar fast anymore.
Yeah, he's getting up there in age. That's some of it, but I think he was fighting those injuries all of last year. After he came back, one of the other things that hurt them that we haven't really discussed was they had a couple games where Henry popped. He had crushing fumble giveaways. Where they were ahead or they were in the process of catching, going in for the lead touchdown or whatever. And he just coughed it up 2 or 3 times during the year last year that happened. And he's somebody that rarely fumbled prior to that. And on the defensive side of the ball, just watching for the last couple of years, one of the things that I think has hurt them is they have lost to free agency a lot of linebackers in particular and rush guys. And they keep thinking they're just going to replace him with, the next young guy that comes along, and it hasn't worked out yet. They have not been able to figure out how to replace with Derek Queen and some of these other guys that they've lost. Patrick Queen. I'm sorry.
Ted, and I want to say something else about this team. I love Zay Flowers. I think he's a really good receiver, and they gave him a big contract, and I think that was a good decision. Last year, he had 86 catches for 1,200 yards. Fantastic. But Ted, there's another name here that last year, Mark Andrews, for many, many years, was Lamar's safety blanket. Ever since he dropped that pass in that playoff game, last year, Ted, it never happened for him. 48 catches, 422 yards. He's 30 years old. He's got to get back to being to being a big-time weapon. Has to be. Isaiah Likely's gone, so the other type, it comes back to him now. I think he's got to be what he used to be.
I don't know if Likely being there was part of the reason for the drop off because he got more time, or if they ran 2 tight end sets and they were finding him more likely or more open. I don't know. But Andrews has to be. He has to. Maybe he doesn't have to catch 80 balls, but you'd like to have him catch 55. Something like that.
And that Ted, does Hendrickson have anything left in the tank? And to be, for a couple of seasons, then you talked about guys that you might not think were as productive as they were, but for a while there, Trey Hendrickson was about as good a pass rusher as there was in the NFL. Right. I'm trying to come up with the numbers right here now, really quickly. He's getting up there a little bit also in age, and how much does he have left?
I think they're okay there. I think he'll play reasonably well if unless unless the rest of the team isn't producing any kind of rush and they can double him all the time. That could, but I'm sure he's used to being doubled. So I think he'll be okay. I as opposed to
Ted,
him or Max Crosby. I don't know.
before last year, in the 5 previous seasons before last year they only had 4 sacks. The 5 seasons before that, that's 35, 43, 57, 70 sacks in 15 in
Wow.
5 seasons
Wow.
for Trey Hendrickson.
That's getting it done.
If he gives them double-digit sacks,
well, that'll be a big boost. That's for sure.
Double-digit sacks. Lamar plays the entire season. Derrick Henry is still an elite running back, and Andrews becomes a viable weapon. And Jesse Minter is a good head coach.
Yeah. And we'll find out. Yeah, they have a lot more questions than they normally do. That's for sure.
And I've heard people talk about this. I think Colin Cowherd has talked about this. It fascinates me that Las Vegas, before the season begins, one of the bets you can do in Las Vegas is over-unders by team. The Ravens have the highest win over-under total in the league this year. I don't see it.
Well, you have to go through the schedule. Aside from you have 6 division games, which if they're 4-2 in that division, that's a pretty good place to be, right?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good start point. And they're not going to have a first place schedule for a change.
Yeah. All right, now let's go to the Bengals, Ted. Another lost season at 6-11. And Ted, I hate putting it all on one thing, but Joe Burrow again cannot stay healthy. He plays only 8 games, and it's a huge factor when in the 8 games they played with Burrow, they were 5-3.
Right. Yeah.
1-8 without him.
Yeah, he's got it. They got to keep him upright. Yeah.
And, a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the Cowboys, I said, if you're a Cowboy fan, the one thing that is good to think about as a Cowboy fan is your path back to the playoffs is very simple. Defense.
Right.
And it's equally obvious with the Bengals. Even without Burrow, the combination of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins combined for 184 catches, over 2,200 yards, and 19 touchdowns. Nothing wrong with that.
No.
But Ted, listen to their defensive numbers. 31st in total yards, 32nd against the rush, 26th against the pass, 30th in scoring.
Well, they were consistent.
Exactly. And then they were 29th running the ball. So they couldn't run the ball and they couldn't stop the run.
They couldn't stop anything.
You can have Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow all you want. If you can't run the ball and stop the run, you're not going to win football games.
No. And then, the running the ball part was once Burrow goes out, if you can at least run the ball, you can, again, shorten the game, keep everything kind of in front of you, and maybe steal a few wins while he's out.
Yeah. Now, Ted, to their credit, they made some big moves to try and change all of that. They give up their first-round pick for Dexter Lawrence to put him in the middle, hopefully improve the run defense. Then in the second round, they take an edge from Texas A&M named Cassius Howe. They also signed Jonathan Allen at defensive tackle, who I think is a really good player. So I think they've made some nice moves. But is Joe Burrow going to be healthy?
Well, and yes, but part of keeping Joe Burrow healthy is run the ball. Yeah. If you can run the ball well enough that then the first and second down or the third and short play action works better.
Yep.
And teams aren't just teeing off on you because you're at 3rd and 12 again or 2nd and 15 again.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot easier to keep him upright, and maybe he plays 16 or 15 games and you win 10 and you steal a playoff spot.
Yeah. All right. The last team in this division, Ted, are the not so good Browns. And
the not so good Browns. Yeah.
Say hello to Dave for us, Ted, our friend, and also my friend Mark is now listening. Also, Mark and Dave are longtime Browns fans.
Pass the salt. Is that
pass the salt? Dave.
Salt to Dave. Yeah.
Pass the salt, Dave.
Yeah.
Browns were 5-12 last year. And they were the exact opposite of the Bengals, Ted. Offensively, they were 30th in total yards, 27th in rushing, 31st in passing and scoring. So their offense was a mess.
Right.
The defense, 4th in total yards, Ted.
Yeah.
16th against the pass, 3rd third, 16th against the rush, third against the pass, 14th in scoring. And they did all of that. If you had an average offense and had that defense, you go, oh, okay, whatever. But with an offense that clearly can't stay on the field, to be fourth in total yards allowed, they're having a lot of plays against them.
Right. Yeah.
They make the big move. They trade Myles Garrett. I love the move. You're not going to win a Super Bowl with Myles Garrett, and they got a huge return for him.
Well, you're not going to win the Super Bowl this year. Hey, the Rams could win the Super Bowl with Myles Garrett. A better Browns team could win the Super Bowl.
Right.
But I mean, but to get the return you got, yeah.
Right. I like their draft picks. Offensive tackle Spencer Fano and second round is Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. Both should be day one starters. They get 2 wide receivers. They needed additional wide receiving help. Casey Concepcion from Texas A&M and Denzel Boston from Washington, I think, are both going to be impact weapons. On the free agent, they bring in 3 offensive linemen that should all be starters. Titus Howard from the Texans, Zion Johnson from the Chargers, and Elgton Jenkins from my Packers. They also signed Quinnen's brother, Quincy Williams, the linebacker from the Jets. I love their draft. I love their free agent moves. I love their trades. 2 things. Is Todd Monken more than an offensive coordinator?
Right.
And who's the quarterback?
Well, more importantly, do they even have one on the roster that can play?
Well, okay. So Deshaun Watson is healthy, and he's going to
be the starter.
Okay,
unless he gets hurt.
Right. Now here's the question though. The only way Deshaun Watson is back in Cleveland next year is if he somehow resurrects his Houston ghost play, his Houston form.
He hasn't played in 5 years. He hasn't played in 5 years.
Well, he's played, but not much.
And when he has played, he's been bad.
Not good. So here's the question then, Ted. With all of that as the backdrop, do you say, play Shedeur? Even if he's not good, we find out if he can play or not, because we have to find out.
Well, I think they know, or I think they think they know. I think that if Watson is my understanding is going to start.
Yeah.
That tells me right away
that Shedeur's not ready.
That the new coach isn't in love with Shedeur.
Yeah.
So he's just running this guy out because, well, he's on the last year of his contract and he might be trying to play for the next one.
Yeah.
Which I don't care how well he plays. I can't imagine anybody giving him 5 years and $200 million again or whatever. The guy that's going to take the Browns out of the not so good and into is not on their roster, in my view.
Okay.
Unless Todd Monken is the greatest quarterback whisperer of all time, he's not on their roster. That they could be competitive like they were most of last year.
So what I'm hearing you say, the entire scouting staff for the Browns should be out scouting the 8 or 9 viable first round quarterback
and they should have a very good to me also some scouts and some film should be watched on the however many viable free agent to be quarterbacks there are, or guys that can be traded because teams don't want to pay them. List is available. All
right, Ted, let's go over the NFC. And the hiring of Ben Johnson in Chicago did exactly what it was planned to do. It made Caleb Williams look like the guy who was taken first overall.
Right.
Ted, one of the things, and the offense blossomed. 6th in total yards, 3rd in rushing. Everybody thought it was Dan Campbell biting kneecaps that made that Lions run game so good. But Ben Johnson wants to play physical, run the ball also. He did that in Chicago. Number 10 in passing, number 9 in scoring. But Ted, this is, to me, is an even better version of the Cowboys in that it all comes down to one side of the ball.
Yeah.
Last year defensively, 29th in total yards, 27th in rush, 22nd against the pass, 23 in scoring. Simple. Play middle of the road defense. Okay. And this is a Super Bowl contender.
No. Remember last year they won 7 games in the last possession or the last 2 minutes or whatever that stat. No, that's not going to happen again. Not against the first place schedule. That's not going to happen again. And if it does, then they will be a Super Bowl contender. But highly unlikely that they're going to win half their games essentially on the last possession, or how many times did he just launch one up and Williams just launch it into the end zone and somebody on the Bears came down with it? I think they're going to take a step back, even if they improve the defense, because the schedule is going to be much harder and they're not going to get 7 wins that way. It's just not going to happen. Not going to happen that way again.
Okay.
Doesn't mean they're not going to be competitive. Doesn't mean they can't make the playoffs. I don't see that kind of scenario playing. They're going to have to play better.
That's interesting. See, I mean,
they're not going to surprise anybody this year.
No, and they last year they were not playing a first place schedule. This year they are. Will Rome Odunze jump up and become that elite, true number 1 wide receiver? I love the tight end, Loveland from Michigan. Yeah. I like their running backs. I like their drafts.
It's not that
I like everything
good.
they're doing, but you just think
I just think when you win 7 games in the last minute or whatever, last possession or whatever it was last year, it's just not going to happen a second time, particularly against a tougher schedule, which should be a tougher schedule.
Interesting. Yeah, you're combining a couple of really important details of the schedule and what team was it a couple of years ago that won every? Oh, for a while the Chiefs were winning every one score game,
right.
And then eventually it just doesn't.
It doesn't happen. Yeah.
All right, let's go out to Chiefs head corner, Ted.
All right, this is your deal.
Yeah. All right, the Packers finished second last year, made the playoffs at 9-7-1. Early in the season with Micah on board, they looked like a Super Bowl contender.
Right.
Then they let up 40 against the Cowboys in that tie. Then they lose to the Browns and the Panthers.
Right. Yeah.
Ugh. Then they lose Micah to the knee injury.
Yeah.
They lose their last 4 regular season games. Then they lose to the Bears in the playoffs. The statistics tell me this is a solid but not elite team in any aspect. Right. Offensively, Ted, 15th in total yards, 15th in rushing, 17th in passing, 16th in scoring. Defensively, a little better, 12th total yards, 18th against the rush, 11th in passing and scoring. So a good team, nothing wrong with anything they're doing, but they're not elite. And Mike is on the PUP list. So
he comes back.
He cannot play he cannot play by rule since he's on the PUP list. He can't play the first 4 games. The optimistic date for his return is week 6.
Okay.
Tucker Kraft, their very good tight end, hopefully will be healthy. They've given big contracts to Christian Watson and Jaden Reed on the outside. Defensively, Quay Walker, a former first-round draft pick, is gone via free agency. They replace him with Zaire Franklin from Indianapolis. I like their first pick in the second round was a guy named Brandon Cisse to help at cornerback. For a team that didn't run the ball very well last year, I don't like losing Elgton Jenkins. I don't know that their offensive line is particularly great. But Ted, here's the whole thing for me as a Packer fan. That first year that he started, Jordan Love at the end of the year had about a 6 or 7 game period where he played great.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Then they put up 48 or whatever against the Cowboys. They went down to Dallas and put a beat down on the Cowboys. Then they were leading the very good 49ers, the 49 team that eventually went and lost to the Super Bowl that year. They were leading them through like 3 quarters. And then in the fourth quarter, their defense fell apart and Jordan Love threw a couple interceptions. And Jordan Love is a good quarterback. He's got a lot of tools. The weapons are okay. Is he anything close to a top 10 quarterback to you?
Well, I'd have to hear who the top 10 are, but probably not. No. But he's upper level. He's upper level of, he's a good player. I just think that, it's playing in after October when you play so many games in Green Bay and outside in Chicago, that's got to be wearing on guys, and tougher to be. It's much tougher to
Okay,
be an elite
let's do it
quarterback
this way,
there
Ted.
than Los Angeles.
Let's do it this way, Ted. You start telling me when I get to a name of a quarterback that you would take Jordan Love over for this year. This year,
Okay. Yeah.
Matthew Stafford,
Well, no.
Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, Drake May, Sam
Yeah,
Darnold.
maybe. I could see him over Drake May. Yeah. Talent wise.
Sam Darnold, Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. I get Caleb Williams. Yeah. I mean, again, he's
Bo Nix.
Yeah, if Sean Payton had Jordan Love, do you think he would be better?
Okay, let me keep going. I haven't even gotten to some of the best names: Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert.
Well, no.
Okay, so let's see here. If I was going to rate quarterbacks in the NFL right now, I would go Allen 1, Stafford 2, Mahomes 3, Prescott 4, Goff.
What about Lamar Jackson? Where does he go?
Oh, I forgot about. Okay, so Lamar Jackson is number. He's not even. I'm looking at the top 10 or the leading passing leaders last year.
Okay.
So Stafford, Allen, Mahomes, Jackson 4, Prescott 5. I definitely take Sam Darnold over him. That's 6. I take Dak Prescott over him. That's 7. I take.
You
Jared
said
Goff.
Dak twice. You said
Okay,
Dak twice.
Okay, so I take Jared Goff over him. I
Burrow.
take Justin Herbert over him. So
Burrow.
I've got at least or Burrow 9. I forgot Burrow. So to me, what I've always said is one of the worst things you can do in the NFL is pay a quarterback elite money, and if he's not an elite player.
Right. Okay.
They paid him 50 whatever million.
Oh yeah, they made it. They made that. That was a terrible.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a bad contract that they gave.
It's like I said last year. Before last year, if you'd said to me, who do I want? Baker Mayfield making 30 or 35 or Jordan Love making 50 or 55, I take Baker every time because then I can put 2 or 3 other good players around him.
Yeah.
This is the problem that I have with what some of these teams do when they
should have given him, because they gave it to him after his rookie year, right?
Well, no. It was he had been sitting on the bench, I think, for 2 years behind
Aaron.
Let's just do something really here.
Well, they gave it to him when his rookie contract expired, right? And he had played 1 year essentially.
Yeah, so let's see here. Okay, so 21. Okay, they gave him that contract after the 23 season, which was his first year starting, and before his 4th year, when they would have had to make a decision on signing him to the 5th year option as a rookie. So, I think they gave him the contract just a little too early, and I would
they should have given him like 3 years and $100 million.
Yeah.
Give him the Sam Darnold kind of contract, which would have been still way more than he was making.
Yes, and allowed them to build the team around him
and figure out if he was the guy they wanted to live with. Right. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I like Jordan Love. I like
he needs to take the next step.
Yeah.
Up to really become a prominent player. I
like a lot of things about this team. I just don't think they're elite in anything. And the defense was not good enough without Micah. The offense didn't run the ball well enough last year. Josh Jacobs was very good the year before at running back. I don't see anything that makes me go, wow, on this team. Okay.
But they don't have to go to Brazil to open the year and all the other stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think I have higher hopes for the Packers, I think, than you do, simply because I don't think the Bears are going to win all the games they won last year.
Interesting. All right, now let's go to 2 other very interesting teams. And by the way, Ted, when we talk about the best divisions in football, the NFC North was the only division last year where all 4 teams had winning records.
Yeah.
So the Lions,
the
Lions missed the playoffs, and they regressed to 9-8, missed the playoffs.
Yeah,
perhaps due to the loss of the 2 coordinators to head coaching positions. We see what Ben Johnson did in Chicago.
Right.
But without him, Ted, for everybody talking about the line taking a step back last year, offensively, 5th in total yards, 14th in rushing, 3rd in passing, 5th in scoring. The issue was the return to a very porous defense. 18th in total yards, 14th against the rush, 20th in the passing, 22nd in scoring. Aiden Hutchinson was great, 14 and a half sacks. Jack Campbell is a really nice 3-down linebacker. I love Brian Branch as a playmaking safety. I like a lot of pieces on this team, but they have to be better.
Yeah, now they're going to start off the year with one of the same problems they had last year is the tight end is out.
Laporta is out.
Yeah, he hurt. He got hurt. I think it's his knee, but they expect him back. It's just that he's going to start the year missing a first couple games.
He's a really good player.
Yeah, he is. They lost one of the running backs, right?
To injury or just
Montgomery.
Montgomery, yeah, they had to trade him. You know, Ted, and here's the thing about let's see, Laporta suffered a hip injury, has missed some separate weeks in practice. Unsure if he'll be available week 1. So Ted, you know, the Lions the last 3 or 4 years have done a great job of drafting, and the only problem with that now is you have to pay these guys. They had to pay Penei Sewell. They had to pay Amon St. Brown. They had to pay the other wide receiver, Jameson Williams. They had to pay Jahmyr Gibbs, which is also, you can't have Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Once you give him that big contract, he's got to be the guy. Yeah. So they gave well-deserved contracts to a lot of players, but now you're getting to the point where, like this year, Alex Anzalone, one of their very good linebackers, and Al-Qaeda Muhammad, the defensive lineman who Ted had 11 sacks last year. They lost both of those guys to free agency, both going to the Bucs. So when you draft well and you give those guys the contracts, which is the right thing to do, and you're paying Goff whatever he's making, eventually you run out of money.
Right. Run out of cap space. Yeah. I mean, I hope they have, I think Gibbs, they had to pay Gibbs. I still think he's one of the like 4 or 5 most compelling players when he gets the ball in his hands. Anything can go. Every play, anytime he touches it, it can go, right? But they need that running. They need that banger in the middle. They need a running back. I don't know that I believe Gibbs. It's not that he can't play 3 downs. I don't know that you can play him a full game at 3 downs. He's not the biggest guy.
Right. I don't think you can give him the ball 25 times between the tackles.
Right. No, right. That's what I'm saying.
That was that
was Montgomery's job. Yeah.
Ted, you know who they brought in? They brought in Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah, okay, but he's been he's great if he plays like he did when he first came up, but he's been banged up.
But if you give him 10
15 carries, 12
and you give Gibbs 15 carries and 5 catches, you let him touch the ball 20 times.
20 times, yeah.
You get 15 touches to Pacheco. That's a nice combination.
It's not the same as Montgomery because Pacheco's a little different. Yeah. I think he's a little more like Gibbs.
Well, but I mean he'll be the run ball between the tackle guy.
Yeah, he can do that. Yeah. And he can catch the ball. He's not a huge downgrade if he can play. Yeah. Can he, because he's been hurt the last couple of years, Yeah.
And Ted, there's something else about this team that I love. They've moved Penei Sewell to left tackle, which is interesting. But Ted, the rest of their offensive line, they take Blake Miller, one of the glass-eating offensive tackles in the first round from Clemson. If he's good, I think they have the tackle set. But the middle of the offensive line, someone named Christian Mahogany, never heard of him. Drew Scruggs is the center, never heard of him. Tate Rutledge, I think, was a high draft pick last year.
They did have some problems in that interior line last year, I think, that with injuries. So
yeah, and the loss. Everybody talks about the center that retired. Or Frank Ragnow. I think he was a great player, and to lose him, I think, is a major issue.
Yeah, they tried to bring him back, and he failed the physical or something. Yeah, When you're starting to bring back a guy who is, questionable as to whether he can pass the physical.
Yeah.
You've got some real issues in the middle of the line then.
Yeah. Ted, let's finish up with what I think might be the most interesting team in this division, which is the Minnesota Vikings. They let Sam Darnold go. He goes to Seattle, wins the Super Bowl. They give the starting job to J.J. McCarthy. Didn't work. They missed the playoffs, but they still finished 9-8.
Yeah. Yes.
They bring in Kyler Murray, and they've named him the week 1 starter. The expectation is that quarterback whisperer Kevin O'Connell is going to do for him what he did for Darnold.
Okay.
You're not as confident.
No, Kyler Murray's coming off injuries. And then he has to be receptive to, quarterback whispering is a two-way street.
Yeah.
Somebody can whisper, but the other guy has to be listening. So will he listen and be able to put this, O'Connell's plans into action, and not try and do too much? Because I think that was part of his problem in Arizona is that the offense essentially became,
him running around making a play.
Yeah, right. So I hope that I think that they could be the surprise team because they get a weak schedule. They're 9-8 with a weak schedule. If they figure out quarterback at all, Ted, they got a chance.
Go back and look at his 2020 and 2021 seasons with the Cardinals. In the 32 games he played, they were 17-13. No, so he didn't 8-8. Oh, he only played 30 games. So he was 17. He was 17-13. Probably would have averaged about 250 yards a game, 50 touchdowns, and 22 interceptions. His quarterback rating would have been in the high 90s for those 2 seasons. You look at his 21 season, they were 9-5. He completed 69% of his passes, almost 3,800 yards, 24 touchdowns, 10 interceptions with a 100.6 rating. If they can get that, if the Vikings get that level of player, anything close to it.
Yeah, something close to it. Yeah. I don't think that player may not exist anymore for Kyler Murray because he's not a big guy. He's been hit a lot. They may not be able to get that level out of him physically anymore,
But Ted, offensively, they've got great weapons. Justin Jefferson is one of the best 5 receivers in the game. Jordan Addison is a really, really good number 2. TJ Hawkinson's a very good tight end. Aaron Jones still is a really good running back. And Ted, Brian Flores, the league must not like him because of his, I think he still has a lawsuit.
The thing with the lawsuit. Yeah.
The fact that he doesn't have a head coaching job, Ted, listen to his stats, the defense for the Vikings last year stats. 3rd in total yards, 2nd against the pass, 7th in scoring. If Kyler Murray plays B-level quarterback with those weapons and a Brian Flores-led defense, would it shock you?
No.
If this team is in the playoffs this year?
Wouldn't shock me if they won the division. That division's tight anyway. And let's say you go 5-1 in that division, that's going to give you a big head start to getting to the division title.
This could be a year where everybody in that division is either 9-8 or 10-7.
Yeah.
Because they're just going to beat Jesus out of each other. And
the Bears aren't going to have that 7 or whatever it is. They might win 2 or 3 at the buzzer, but they're probably not winning 7.
I'll throw one other name at you, Ted. Their draft was interesting in Minnesota. They took in the first round, they take a defensive tackle named Caleb Banks from Florida. From what I understand, Caleb Banks is one of these incredible athletic big men, can do anything on the field, but sometimes just you don't get the output from it.
Right.
So that could be a huge upside or a huge miss. But I love their 2nd round pick, Jake Galde, a linebacker from Cincinnati. Incredibly athletic, 3-down guy. I think he's going to be a really good player. They have to replace their longtime safety Harrison Smith, and they lost their 3rd wide receiver Jalen Naylor going out to, I believe he went out to Oakland. But Ted, I don't know who to pick in this division.
Well, you don't have to pick today anyway, so it's okay.
But it wouldn't shock me if it's the Vikings. Wouldn't shock me.
Let's just say something about Caleb Ferguson.
Caleb Banks, the tight end?
I mean,
The defensive tackle?
Yeah,
Caleb
defensive
Banks?
tackle.
Yeah.
Caleb Banks. Okay. Brian Flores will either get it all out of him or he will send him home to Florida.
Ted, I hadn't even thought about that until you said that. That is a great point. Brian Flores, if you don't play with intensity,
you're not playing.
You're
not playing. You're going to be, he's going to be shining helmets on the sidelines or something. You know, you know, if intensity and commitment or, you know, focus are young Caleb's problems, they won't be his problems for
That's a great point. That's a great point.
I mean, I think if I was the Vikings and I think this had to go, this guy's great. Well, he you know, he loses focus and we got that part.
We got that covered. Brian, hey, Brian, can you get this guy to focus? Brian sitting in the back going, just give him to me. I'll get him to be focused.
Yeah. He'll be fine. Yeah.
Exactly. Great point. That's a great way to finish the episode, Ted. Let's go ahead and wrap it there for the week. Thank you again to our fans for listening. Please continue to follow us here on millions.co for these live events. You can also check us out on our various social media sites. We have a YouTube channel. Please subscribe. We need to get the listener up. Also, we are on X, Instagram, and Facebook. And you can also email
and tell
us.
A friend to subscribe, right?
And tell a friend. That's right. Subscribe twice. Have your grandmother subscribe. I don't care.
Yeah.
Anybody.
Put it on auto run.
There you go. It's all of these are good suggestions. So also you can email us at grumpybrothersports@gmail.com. And with that, we'll say goodnight, and we promise to do better next time.